We're live. We're live on Bridge Church's page with Josh, Edney.
Live in full effect.
Full effect. Full effect. Full effect. So we'll wait for people to come on in. Josh, how you feeling this morning, man?
Feeling good. Feeling good.
This afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. That's good. All right, we're trying to use this platform, and I got to check and see how this is all working at the same time. We're fancy schmancy over here.
Yeah, no, I like this.
You know, it's for the people. So yeah. So it's got us live. Yeah, so we'll wait for people to sign on.
This is kind of a new thing we're doing, right? Doing some interviews during the Project 1210 devotional.
Yeah. So I mean, that'll be cool for people to experience and kind of hear your wisdom. Also checking out you today talking finances, and then on Thursday we'll have Lachey, and she'll talk mental health, and then we've got several other people coming in. So let me check how this is working on. Okay. Oh, see, I can't see the amount of people populating on here, but they can.
Trust people are watching.
Yeah. That's exactly what's happening. All right. I cannot tell who the people are, but there are people coming on in, and it's 12:09, so we're mad early. So, all right, guys. So we're using a different platform, so I can't see who is here, but I know people are here. So do this. During Project 1210, several things that I just want to keep everybody reminded about. One, the reason why we do this is based upon Romans 12:10. Romans 12:10 says, "Be devoted to one another in love, and to honor one another." And so we do this so that we can, during this crisis, make sure that we're constantly checking in on one another and supporting one another. And so that's why we do this devotional at 12:10 as a reminder of Romans 12:10. The other thing I want to remind you guys about is that we not only do this as a platform, but we have our online groups. They meet on Tuesday nights and Wednesday nights. And so if you want to get involved with an online group, text online 20 to 484848. Again, that's online 20 to 484848. And we'll get you plugged into an online group. And then lastly, we just want to remind everybody about our fund, our Be the Bridge fund. If you know anybody that needs financial assistance that lives in Brooklyn, we want to be able to help out in any way we can. If you want to donate to that, we would love for you to be able to support us in that. You would go to bridgechurch.com/ bridgechurchnyc.com/ be the bridge. That's bridgechurchnyc.com/ be the bridge. And so you're able to get information there that way. All right. So we let me see. I'm looking over here. So we look cool. We we have people checking in slowly but surely. But I want to also, as we're doing this, I just want to remind people to share this on their page, because today we want to talk about finances. And we know that a lot of people have been hit, whether it's you're creative and some of your gigs are gone now, whether you're a small business owner and you're just not seeing people coming through the door, or simply you were working at a restaurant getting tips and you just can't get those tips anymore. We want to acknowledge to you that today we want to talk about emergency funds and how much, just a perspective on how to get emergency funds. Okay. With that, the link. Okay. All right. So I'm seeing everything. Um, and I'm seeing people say hello. This is good. Okay, I
Mhm.
can see all the people. That's great. All right, so really looking forward to Josh sharing his wisdom. Josh, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how you got involved with finances.
Yeah. So originally from North Carolina, um, went to college, majored in finance,
Mhm.
came to faith, got serious about my faith during my time in college. So I went into ministry after I graduated, but I still had a passion for finances, still had a passion for healthy financial living. So yeah, since I've been in ministry since '07, I've been helping people, create that first budget for the first time. They're making real money, helping people with planning, some investing advice. So it's been great.
So, what's the experience been like helping people out in the church?
Yeah. So, most of, I think people are going to follow the financial principles that they saw their parents do. We talk
Mm,
about legacy getting passed down. Well, sometimes that's a legacy that you don't want to continue. So the behaviors that you saw are the ones you're going to probably imitate. So,
mm,
yeah, I've been able to help people with, good practical advice, but also giving people a proper perspective of finances. Like Jesus had more to say about finances than he did any other subject.
wow, that's good. So then, speaking of that, Josh, what when you think finances, how do you think biblically about that? So as people like think about money, what do you think God says about that? That kind of drives you in the way that you help people with their finances.
Yeah, that's good. I would say probably the principle I come back to the most is the owner versus the manager.
Mm,
So I think about the parable of the 5 talents, where the owner distributed different talents to different managers,
mm,
and the owner expected a return for what he gave the managers. And
mm.
when the manager came back, they returned them in different degrees, and but they still returned everything that the owner gave them back to the owner. So I think am I an owner of what I have, or am I just
Mm.
managing someone else's resources?
That's good. That's good. And when it comes to management and stewardship and all that, for you, Josh, like how has that been helping people with that? Like what are some wins you've seen from helping people change that perspective?
Yeah, yeah. One of the things that actually you said in a financial series we did 5 years ago was your bank statement as a better X-ray machine to your heart than a marked up Bible. Where
Mm,
your treasure is, there your heart is also.
mm,
So we've been able to shine a light on a very private part of people's lives.
yeah.
It's not common to ask someone, how their finances are doing. Hey, what's your debt total? Are you paying your debts?
Mm, mm,
Are you prepared? Do you have an emergency fund? Hey, I've seen you eating out a good bit recently. Like, is that under your budget? So we've
mm.
been able to bring these conversations into the light and have them amongst community, which has been a place where we've seen people experience financial freedom. We've seen people get out of debt that had 6 figures of debt because they have lived below their means, because
Wow.
they've been generous, because they
Wow.
have adjusted their standards of living, and then that encourages people that, hey, this could be my narrative as well, because I just saw my sister, my brother over here in the church get out of debt as well.
Wow. Okay, so Josh, we have been hit by a pandemic, a global pandemic, and much of what people are thinking about is how do I make it through? You've even met with some people during this time to
Mhm.
think through this. So, as folks are thinking, what are some financial tips that you would give folks during this
Yeah,
time?
yeah. Well, one of the terms that I've heard a lot in the past month is like figuring out our new normal. Like, where if you have children, you're probably homeschooling at home. You're working from home, but you're really learning how to work from home in the middle of a crisis.
Mm,
So the new normal. But I would say some of the things I'm going to go over today it are principles that have tested time. Like, they have. I'm not really probably going to go over anything that people haven't heard before,
Mm,
because these things have proven true over time if you follow them.
mm, okay.
So yeah, 4 tips during this crisis financially. The
Okay.
first one is, this is a great time, if you have a little extra time, to run a credit report. You know,
Okay.
there are 3 different credit report agencies that you can get an annual report from. TransUnion, I think this will be in the comment section. TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian.
Okay.
So, what does a credit report do? It reminds you about any debts that you might have forgotten about. Like for us here in New York, there might have been some parking tickets that we put in the desk somewhere and we just forgot to start paying. There
Mm,
might have been a hospital bill that you haven't paid yet, but
mm,
your credit report will show those bills. Um, don't focus so much on what your credit score is. Your credit score isn't a wealth score, but your
mm.
credit score will show you a snapshot of your debts during this time.
That's good. So make sure that you're just checking out your credit score. I do want to tell everybody, if you have questions, we might even go over our normal time. So try to post those questions in the thread, and we'll get to those questions. Also note, we do have a bit of a delay in how we're using this platform, so know that there'll be just a little bit of that. But go ahead. That's really good.
Cool. So the second one, this is I'm thinking about my church here because this is very applicable to us. The
Mhm,
average age of our church is 26, 27,
mhm.
and student loan debt is a descriptor of this generation.
Yeah.
With the recent stimulus plan that got rolled out by the government, if you have a federal student loan,
Mhm.
your payments are suspended until September 30th.
Wow.
So you are not required to make payments on your federal student loans until the end of September.
Wow.
So you might be thinking, well, this is a good time to stop making payments. Like, that bill is not coming.
Mhm.
But I would ask you to just consider this. If your income hasn't changed,
Mhm.
if your hours have not been reduced drastically, if you haven't lost any streams of income, don't postpone the payments, because during this time, interest is at 0%. So
Wow.
this is what that means. Every dollar that you pay towards your federal student loans from now until September 30th, every dollar goes towards the principal.
Okay.
So this will help you pay down your loans quicker, because none of your payment is going to interest, which is why loans take so long to pay back,
Mm,
because every dollar you pay, a good percentage of it goes to interest,
right.
not towards the principal. So if you have an emergency fund, if your income is steady, don't postpone that payment, so that you can accidentally spend that money somewhere else.
Right.
Keep making payments. If you postpone your debt payments, you're going to postpone your financial freedom.
Mm, so good. So good. So keep paying things off as much as you
Yeah,
can.
yeah.
It's good.
Third one is dust off that budget. Dust off that budget. One of the things that people say is, when I meet with them for financial counseling, is, if I only had some extra time to budget. Well, we've been giving a little extra time, so use that time right now to begin budgeting, or to restart. A budget will help you maximize every dollar.
Yeah.
A budget puts you in control of your money rather than it controlling you.
And
So,
and Josh, what is, like, if somebody's like, if they can't meet with you, what's a simple way for them to begin to think about, how do I start the budget?
yeah, there is a link that's being put in the comments right now. It's a Google Drive link, and you can click that link, and it's a budget all on one sheet.
Great.
So it'll start with we're in the middle of a storm right now.
Yeah.
It'll start with your how much money you have, how much money you owe, what are your goals, and then the budget will kind of be the turn-by-turn directions to get you from where you're at to where you want to go. So you can just click that link and download that link.
Great. Great. Very helpful.
Yep.
What else? What are some other tips you can?
Yeah, and I would just say, with the budget, like, when it comes to budgeting, don't be afraid of starting slowly. Be afraid of standing still.
Whew.
So if you met with me in the past and you were like, let's go, let's get it, and you fell off the budget train, and then shame kicks in and discouragement kicks in, and you're like, maybe this just isn't for me. Like, show yourself grace and get back on. So this is a great time just to restart.
So good.
The fourth one is everyone just received a stimulus check. So what's your plan for that money? What are a couple of short-term goals that your stimulus check can help you fund? In 6 months, I want you to be able to track where that stimulus money went instead of wondering where that stimulus money went. So have a plan for that. Allocate it, give it a purpose, make it work for what's important to you.
Wow. And Josh, from your experience, when you say give that money a purpose, what do you think most people are using their money for, like when they're not purposeful with it?
Yeah, it will be accidentally spent on the things that probably everyday expenses. I mean, eating out is a category that is difficult for people, at least here in New York, to stay under, because eating out is so available, it's so accessible, it's on every block.
Yeah.
And eating out, clothing, those are the two. Ubers, but probably not ride sharing as much right now. But eating out and clothing are the two categories that when I sit down with people, those are the two like really have to set boundaries with.
Okay. Josh, so those were your 4 tips. Real quick, we have a quick question that came in, which is consolidating loans. Should somebody consolidate their student loans? Is that a good idea?
Yeah, so it's a good question. It's a little bit of a difficult question to answer in a vacuum without knowing their whole financial situation and how much money are we talking about? What kind of terms are we talking about with their original loan? What are interest rates and stuff? So there is a consolidation company that I point people to. It's called SoFi, SOFI.com. And that is that is an organization that helps consolidate student loans. But without knowing the full picture of someone, I really can't give a recommendation on you should consolidate. But that is an organization that will give you good rates. There is a qualification process, just like with any loan.
And Josh, when would be a good time for somebody to consolidate their loans, in your opinion?
Yeah, well, it really comes to like interest rates. So the average credit card interest rate is 17%. Some student loans are in the 12s, in the 14%. With people that I know who have refinanced through like a SoFi, it can be anywhere from 3 to 10. So it depends on interest rates. It depends on loan balances. It depends on if you've been making payments. So it is a little bit of a you do probably have to, it is a situation that it's helpful if someone can walk you through it.
Okay, it's very specific and nuanced.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's think through some more situations that people could be in during this time that you could help financially with.
Yeah. So here are 4 financial situations that everyone on this call, they'll find themselves in one of these situations. The first one is struggling. This means that you need financial assistance to get by. Like, this is a difficult time for you. There's a difference between being poor and being broke. Being poor is a lack of opportunity. And right now, you might not have any opportunities coming your way. So you might have lost a major stream of income. So this moment for you is about survival.
Right.
For our church here in Brooklyn, we've created a financial assistance fund to help people here in Brooklyn who are financially struggling. So we've mentioned that link before, bridgechurchnyc.com/bethebridge. But I don't want to offer any budget tips for this because you just don't have enough right now. So if you're in our church, if you're a part of Brooklyn, then we want to help that situation, which is I'm struggling. I need financial assistance to get by.
And so these people are going into the red.
Yeah.
They don't have savings, and they just don't even know what next month is going to look like. You know,
Yeah.
so they're
Yeah.
struggling.
Yeah. Rent is coming up in 9 days, and they're not sure how they're going to pay rent. Groceries, they're not sure how they're going to eat, tomorrow morning.
Yep. So they should definitely reach out to us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Second situation is stable. I'm just making ends meet. So I would say for this person, like the 4 walls are your most important expenses: rent, utilities, food, and transportation. Beyond those 4 walls of expenses, what other expenses can you eliminate temporarily during this time?
That's good.
Is there a streaming subscription that you can eliminate? Is there a gym membership? Gyms are closed right now. Some gyms have postponed collecting dues, but once they start opening back up, if you're not using it, is there a gym membership you can eliminate? Are there any other subscriptions, if it's just $20 a month, that you can eliminate for the next 3 to 6 months to give you a little extra margin?
What about are there like do people what do you find people get rid of the most, like streaming subscriptions?
Normally not as much streaming subscriptions. Sometimes
it's not like people actually have their own streaming subscription anyway.
I know everybody's on a shared one. Everybody's on their auntie account.
You know that.
But people will just subscribe to stuff over the past 3 to 6 or 6 to 12 months, and it's just coming out.
Right.
And they're like, oh yeah, I once we lay it out, they're like, oh, maybe I need to reconsider. So I would just say subscriptions in general. If you're stable, if you're just making ends meet, what are some reoccurring subscriptions that you can postpone right now?
It's great.
Yeah. Next situation is secure. Like, okay, I'm making some ends meet, but I have some left over. So I would say that you should have a priority of next steps. The first one is, do you have an emergency fund? We're in the middle of an emergency. This is a very appropriate time to use an emergency fund. But do you have a $1,500 emergency fund? That's the first step for someone who is secure. Second step is, do you have a month's worth of expenses set aside? So you're not living paycheck to paycheck. Third one is, are you following some type of debt elimination plan? Are you making the minimum payments on all of your debts? Are you attacking a certain debt more aggressively? So this stage is probably the most important of the 4, because this is an emotional stage. Like, you know what you need to do, but you have to create behaviors in order to get there. So behaviors, for example, I'm not going to wait until my next raise to begin saving. I'm not going to wait until I'm out of debt to begin giving. I believe I can get out of debt and give at the same time. I don't believe God is calling me to sacrifice one. You will save, you will give when it becomes an emotional priority, when you don't have competing goals, when eating out isn't as important as savings, when buying new clothes isn't as frequent as giving. So focused emotion creates focused finances. So this secure stage is an important one, because you can go up a stage, but you're also vulnerable to going down a stage.
Wow. So, Josh, I think you're hitting on a major point here, that the way that we're able to get to that secure stage isn't just money. It's something deep and emotional that's happening. And I think in a lot of ways, you're having to cut away a lot of that impulsivity that got you into the debt, bad debt. And then you have to be so future oriented to think, I don't want this for now. I want to save up for later. Right.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Finances, 80% of it is behavior. 20% of it is head knowledge. So if you're a follower of Jesus, you have Christ over here, God over here saying, here's what I want you to do. But meanwhile, Visa's over here saying, but let me tell you about what you have to do because of what you already did.
Wow, that's so good. That's so good. That's so good.
Yeah.
And when in your experience, how have you helped people walk through the emotional side of it?
Yeah, it's complicated because everyone is walking into a financial meeting with me with so much baggage, the shame and the guilt and almost the fear of sitting down and having a pastor look at their finances. I mean, it's going to tell me a story about yourself, and I just met you.
Right.
So, but I tell every time I meet with someone that we can't change the financial decisions you made last week, but we can affect the ones you're going to make tomorrow. So you don't have to. I
So
know
good.
you're gonna. I know you're gonna feel guilty. I know you're gonna feel shame in this moment. I don't want to dismiss that, but let's chart a new path going forward. Like you can rewrite your financial future. It's going to take time. You didn't get into that debt overnight. You're not going to get out of it overnight. But
So good.
let's don't be focused on taking small steps. Be afraid of standing still.
Whew.
Yeah.
What I hear you saying is money is one side of it, but shame, guilt, receiving God's forgiveness, letting someone not, letting someone look at it with you so you can receive accountability and cut away your pride and
Yeah.
honestly work against greed. So good. So
Yeah.
good. Okay, what else? What other
Yeah.
situation?
Last situation. So we've gone through struggling. I need financial assistance to get by, stable. I'm just making ends meet, secure. I'm making ends meet with some left over. The fourth stage is surplus. I have more than I need for myself and my family.
Hmm.
So I would just leave a person at this situation with one question. Ask yourself not how much should I give, but how much should I keep?
So good.
You've been blessed to be a blessing. So
Mhm.
you have the ability to obviously follow emergency fund, pay debts, all those things, but you have the ability to be radically generous.
Mm.
You have the ability to help someone go from struggling to stable, stable to secure.
Yeah.
So this person, it's not for your own benefit that you're in the surplus stage. It's for the benefit of others.
Yeah. I think a good example of that, Josh, is how we were talking the other day. Josh is able in his personal finances to live out the principles he's talking about. So he heard about a person who was struggling financially, and sent money to them, and it wasn't because he's wealthy. It's that he's generous. And I
Mm.
think there is a stark contrast between being wealthy and generous. Generous is a mentality and a way that you look at your finances based upon the generosity of God, not just I have surplus all the time,
Yeah.
so you can always be generous at any point, not just with money. We do have one last question. I think that'll be good. If you've fallen behind in credit card payments, do you recommend taking settlements or begin to make minimum payments?
Yeah, this is tough because if you have fallen behind and debt collectors are calling you, those are the toughest calls to make or avoid. But I would here's what I would do. I would first create a budget. How much can you afford in your credit card payments? And I would call the credit card company and I would have a very brief conversation with them about what you can pay because they don't want to send you to collections. They don't want to
Right.
do a settlement because they're eventually going to get less money. But have a very brief conversation on what you can pay. Like I can pay $30 a month starting next month. And they will say yes to whatever you say.
Right.
But it's most important for you to figure out what you can pay during this time.
Yeah. Yeah. So having that conversation is so important.
Yeah,
Well,
but that's a tough one. It takes that phone is going to feel so heavy when you pick it up and you're about to call your credit card company. So, but have that amount beforehand. Pray before that phone call, and then decide what you can pay, and then stick to it every month.
yeah. Yeah. And, Josh, I think so much of this so much of the reason why people struggle financially, honestly, is silence, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they don't tell anybody that they're struggling. And we would say, as pastors, we would be surprised. People would be surprised at the financial philosophy that many people live by the financial struggle that many people are in. So if you're listening to this Project 1210, we want you to know we don't want you to struggle alone. Josh also helps people out during this time. Josh, you just want to lastly tell them about, the services that you offer?
Yeah. Whatever financial situation you're currently in, whatever your financial past has looked like, it's helpful to have someone that can help you take your next step, and someone that that is going to. It's a safe relationship, So find someone that is a couple of steps ahead of you. Ask for some support. Get some like-minded people around you that can keep you accountable. And if you don't have those people, then get direction from a financial advisor like myself. My email is josh@bridgechurchnyc.com, because it's impossible to do this financial journey alone.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good, man. Well, I appreciate you, Josh. I want to let everybody else know that share this on your page. Make sure you're notified for the next time that we come on. We talked about finances this time. You can feel free to hit Josh up with any financial questions you have, or if you have a friend that has financial questions. The other thing I do want to acknowledge is that on Thursday, we're going to have a young lady named Lachey Creighton, who is a therapist, and we're going to be dealing with the emotional side of this crisis and making sure that we're all doing well emotionally and healthy spiritually. So I'm going to pray us out. Father, we thank you so much for this time. We thank you so much for your word. We pray a blessing over those who had questions. We pray a blessing for those who are, whether they're struggling, whether they're in surplus, whether they're secure. Father, we just pray that we're not standing still, but that we're using your money for the benefit, for your glory. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks again, Josh, for joining us.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us on Project 1210. Remember, Thursday, and also remember this Sunday, we continue in our series, Proclaim. Rasul will be preaching again. He's going to do a great job again this Sunday at 4 o'clock. God bless. Bye-bye.